This happened in May of 2021. My sister and I planned a last-minute 3-day, 2-night all-girls trip to LA. We found an Airbnb that can host up to 9 to 10 people in Arizona, USA. We were all excited to go and had planned all the things that we wanted to do. When we first arrived at the Airbnb, the neighborhood was nice and quiet. When we entered, the front door hallway leads to the living room. In between the front door hallway are 2 doorways. To the left leads to the 2 rooms and 1 bathroom. To the right leads to a big study room. The host turned the study room into a bedroom that had 2 big bunk beds. Most of my nieces immediately chose the bunk bed room, and the rest of the adults were left with the other 2 bedrooms. My mom and I were supposed to take the master bedroom, which was nearest to the front entrance, but when we both walked in, it gave off a weird vibe. I noticed that the room was colder than the rest, and the back of my hair stood up. I didn't tell my mom, and surprisingly, she didn't want to sleep in that room. She opted out to sleep in the living room. I also felt the same and gave up the bedroom to one of my sister-in-laws and her daughter. My sister also wanted to sleep out in the living room with us. She also felt weird vibes around the house and thought she ran into someone on the way out of the bathroom. On the first night, my mom slept on a leather couch, and I happened to find a foldable mattress in one of the closets and pulled it next to the couch. My sister took out her air mattress that she had brought from home and placed it on my right side. I was basically sleeping in between them. While I laid on the foldable mattress, my feet were facing towards the TV. My head was facing towards the dining room area. To the left of my feet was the front door hallway. Throughout the night, I kept hearing the floors creak from the dining room area to the kitchen. I tossed and turned and eventually fell asleep around 3 in the morning. The next morning, I asked my mom if she heard anything last night, and she said that she did, but she brushed it off thinking it was one of the kids getting up in the middle of the night to grab snacks or drinks. That morning, one of our nieces said that the hallway light at the front door was flickering during the middle of the night. We were trying to make sense of it and thought that it might just be an old house. We tried to keep our minds off from it and enjoyed our day exploring LA. On the second night, we headed to bed. My mom, my sister, and I still slept in the living room. We turned off the TV and left the dining and kitchen light on again. That night, I had a dream. I dreamt of seeing this lady in a white gown with her dark, medium-length hair covering her face. She slowly walked from the front door hallway to the living room TV. She was underneath the TV and was trying to turn it on. I was yelling at her not to turn on the TV, but she didn't care. She still tried to turn on the TV, and when she was able to turn it on, she turned her head towards me, and I kept yelling at her to turn it off and go away. This felt like it lasted for a good 3 to 4 minutes. I immediately woke up and saw the bright light emitting from the TV screen. I was shocked and looked around the room with my eyes. Nothing was there. I saw the remote control under the TV and woke my mom up. "Mom, did you turn the TV on?" I asked her. "No, did we leave it on?" My mom tiredly replied. "No, we turned it off before going to sleep." I turned over to my sister and woke her up and asked her the same thing, and she said that she didn't turn it on. I got up and turned the TV off. Not that many hours later, I woke up to noises coming from the kitchen. I looked above me and saw my mom already sitting by the other couch and was just listening. I whispered, "Mom, what are you doing?" "I'm trying to see if I can catch the kids getting up in the middle of the night and scare them." I was like, "That's not the kids." Right when we heard one of the cabinet doors roll open, my mom turned around the wall to see who was messing around in the kitchen. And to her surprise, no one was there. She got up and walked around the house, making sure everyone was asleep. When my mom returned, she told me everyone was asleep. We stayed up for a bit until the light was starting to break through the horizon. I was able to fall asleep just for a little while before everyone started to wake up. It was our third and last day at the Airbnb. We packed all of our things and cleaned up the house. When we were about to leave, I made sure to call everyone's name to go home and told whatever that belonged in the house to stay. Driving back home, I couldn't get that lady's image out of my head. I felt uneasy, but tried to brush it off. The night when I got back home from the trip, I had another dream. I saw that lady again, but this time her hair wasn't in her face. She came into my bedroom and was talking to me. She told me that she was lost and couldn't find her family. She asked me if I could help her find them. I told her that I couldn't help her and told her to go back wherever she came from. I kept telling her to go away. When I woke up, I felt bad, but I knew I couldn't do anything about it. I got out of bed and cleansed the house, and then went outside and cleansed myself so that whatever was attached to me or followed me home could go away peacefully. After my first experience with Airbnb, it made me hesitant to rent places for vacation. In the previous post about the Airbnb, I wanted to share my short story too. It's not as scary as the previous one, but it made me reflect on what I had experienced. This took place during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 in Coarse Gold, California, a time when everyone was receiving free money from EDD. My then boyfriend, now ex, his family, and I decided to rent an Airbnb near Bass Lake. There were 3 couples, including us and a toddler. The chosen house looked appealing in the photos, and the outdoor scenery was beautiful, particularly because of a long swing outdoors, which was the deciding factor for us. When we arrived, it was already dark, and as soon as we stepped into the first living room, we all remarked on how dark it felt compared to the photos. I suspected that the living room was an addition, and the restroom window faced into it, a peculiar setup that should have been the first red flag. Then, people decided to choose where they wanted to sleep. The master bedroom, which we jokingly called the grudge room, had closets resembling Japan's sliding closets, and these closets were even present in the master bathroom. The couple with the toddler opted for that room. The second long room had a weird-looking closet with a hole, triggering alarms in my head. I immediately declined that room, and the second couple slept there, leaving us with the windowless room. Despite feeling uneasy, we made the best of it, starting our evening with drinks. I shared my past experiences, believing that my weak spirit always made me a target in every house I moved to or slept in. I expressed my concerns about the chilly vibe in the house and decided to drown my worries with alcohol to avoid potential disturbances. Sure enough, I was the first to doze off. I went to sleep in the room but kept the hallway light and the bedroom light on. In the middle of the night, I woke up and my boyfriend was fast asleep. In a semi-conscious state, I turned towards him with my back facing out. In my vision, I could see the pitch black surroundings due to the lack of windows. Suddenly, I heard footsteps approaching, starting from the door and advancing towards me. That's when I heard her. She whispered my name into my ears. She began speaking gibberish, and I fought to wake up. Eventually I did, but throughout the night, we heard the toddler crying. Nothing else happened after that, but when we discussed it, the couple with the toddler mentioned that their son wouldn't sleep with the lights off, insisting on keeping them on at night. This is why I dislike renting Airbnbs. Too many scary stories.